to a room, you smile, you say the right things, you do everything you were told makes a good impression, and still, nobody gravitates toward you. But then, someone else walks in, barely says a word, and suddenly the whole room shifts toward them like a compass finding north. What do they have that you don't? It's not looks, it's not status, and it's definitely not some trick they learned from a YouTube video. The answer is something most people never think to develop. This is a summary of How to Become a People Magnet by Marc Reklau. And if you've ever felt like connection comes easily to some people and almost impossibly hard to others, this book was written for you. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why certain people radiate trust, warmth, and influence, and exactly what habits are quietly blocking you from doing the same. But before we get there, there's one belief that almost everyone carries about social confidence that is silently working against them. We'll name it in a few minutes, and when we do, you'll recognize it immediately. Part 1. It starts with you. Reklau opens with a truth that sounds simple but cuts deep. If you want to attract better people, you first have to become someone worth attracting. Not perfect, not polished, just real. The single biggest mistake most people make in social situations is performing. They're trying to impress instead of connect. And the harder you try to look impressive, the more exhausted you appear. And people around you can feel that gap between who you're pretending to be and who you actually are. Stop trying to impress. Start being real. That is the most magnetic move you will ever make. Here's what Reklau calls emotional attractiveness. It's not about looks or status. It's about how safe, calm, and grounded you make people feel in your presence. Emotionally attractive people don't explode when challenged. They don't shrink when criticized. They pause. They respond from a place of quiet certainty. And that single pause, one breath before reacting, changes the entire temperature of an interaction. People remember it. They feel safe around it. Now, here's the uncomfortable piece most people skip past. The way you treat yourself sets an invisible standard, and everyone around you picks up on it, even when they can't name what they're sensing. If you've ever found yourself agreeing with people you actually disagree with, laughing at things that aren't funny, or shrinking mid-sentence just to avoid tension, you know the feeling. That pattern doesn't just drain your energy, it quietly signals to others that your presence doesn't fully demand their attention. Not because you're not valuable, because you haven't decided that you are yet. Part 2. The Art of Real Communication. Reklau lays out something he calls the 80-20 listening rule. Most people believe being a great conversationalist means talking well, but magnetic people spend 80% of their time listening and only 20% speaking. And when they do speak, it actually lands because they've been fully present. Think about the last time someone gave you their total, undivided attention. No screen glances, no half answers, just presence. How rare was it? That rarity is exactly why it's so powerful. Presence is the gift almost nobody gives anymore. And when you give it, people remember you for it. But here's where it gets even more practical. Reklau identifies something he calls the body language gap, the space between what you're saying and what your posture, your eye contact, and your facial expressions are silently screaming. Over 70% of what you communicate happens before you say a single word. The way you stand when you walk into a room tells people how you feel about yourself. Open posture signals confidence and warmth. Crossed arms, a downward gaze, tense shoulders, those signal something entirely different. Even if your words are perfect, your body can undercut every one of them. Reklau recommends practicing what he calls mirroring, subtly reflecting the other person's energy, pace, and tone, not mimicking, matching. When done naturally, it creates an unconscious sense of being understood. People can't always explain why they feel comfortable with you. They just do. Part 3. Confidence that doesn't push people away. Here's where the book gets genuinely surprising. Most people think they need to project confidence in order to attract others. And they're right, but they misunderstand what real confidence actually looks like. The kind that repels is loud, it competes, it needs witnesses. The kind that attracts is quiet. It doesn't need to prove anything, it simply knows. Reklau draws a sharp line between arrogance and magnetic confidence. The most compelling people in any room aren't scanning for someone to impress. They walk in thinking, I'm glad to be here. I'm curious about everyone in this space. I have nothing to prove. That energy is so rare that people feel it immediately and move toward it. And you don't build that kind of confidence by waiting to feel it. You build it by doing things that scare you and surviving them. Every time you follow through on a promise you made to yourself, every time you speak up when you wanted to stay quiet, you cast a vote for who you're becoming. Those votes compound. Confidence isn't something you wait for, it's something you choose, even when you're nervous. If you've ever walked into a social situation and immediately felt the urge to either perform or disappear, that's not a character flaw, that's old wiring. The belief that you have to either impress people or hide from them. Reklau's entire framework is about dismantling that belief one small habit at a time. Part 4. Give more than you take. Reklau makes a point that separates ordinary relationships from unforgettable ones. Magnetic people don't ask what they can extract from an interaction. They ask how they can leave the other person better than they found them. And here's something specific that almost nobody does well. The targeted compliment. Not "you're amazing," but "I noticed how calmly you handled that difficult situation earlier." That kind of composure is rare. It's specific. It shows you were actually paying attention. People carry that kind of acknowledgement with them for days. Reklau also addresses something called energy hygiene. Generosity doesn't mean saying yes to everyone. Pouring from an empty cup isn't generosity. It's depletion disguised as kindness. The most giving people protect their energy precisely so they have something real to offer when it actually matters. Some call this discipline, others call it selfishness. Reklau calls it sustainability. Part 5. Staying grounded when people test you. Not everyone you meet is going to be warm, fair, or kind. Some people will challenge your patience. Others will drain your energy or misread your intentions. But magnetic people have learned a crucial distinction, the difference between reacting and responding. A reaction is automatic. It gives control to whoever triggered it. A response is deliberate, grounded. It keeps control with you. Here's the reframe Reklau offers. When someone is rude, cold, or difficult, it is almost never about you. It's about what they are carrying. That doesn't mean you accept poor treatment. It means you don't let someone else's unresolved chaos become your emotional emergency. He also talks about the weight of carrying grudges. Holding on to resentment doesn't punish the person who hurt you. It just quietly dims the light you carry. Every time you choose to let something go, not for them, but for yourself, you reclaim energy that you can redirect toward the people and situations that actually deserve it. Part 6. The final layer. Authenticity. Every principle in this book, the listening, the confidence, the generosity, the body language, it all collapses without one thing: authenticity. In a world of curated images and rehearsed personalities, the most disarming thing you can possibly do is be genuinely, unapologetically real. Your flaws aren't what repel people, they're what make you human, and people don't trust perfect. Perfect is suspicious, honest is magnetic. Reklau's conclusion cuts through everything. You don't need a new personality, you don't need a new face or a new strategy. You need permission. Permission to fully inhabit the person you already are. The most compelling version of you isn't some future, polished version. It's the real version, right now, showing up without the mask. When you stop performing and start connecting, something shifts. People feel safer around you. They open up faster. They trust you sooner. They remember you longer. Not because you impressed them, because you made them feel seen. If this kind of thinking makes you look at your daily interactions differently, you're exactly who this channel was built for. People who want to think deeper, live better, and grow through the books that actually matter. Hit like and subscribe to the Book Blueprint. We break down the world's best books into ideas you can use today. Real growth starts here. Remember that question from the very beginning? Why does one person light up a room while another disappears inside it? You know the answer now. Go back and listen to the first 15 seconds again. It'll land completely differently.